It's a Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the garage. I mentioned to you yesterday that we record on a Monday, so I can't give you any update on the presidential stuff from the United States of America, but no doubt you'll be across all of that anyway, and we can talk about it on Friday. But hot off the press, I can tell you this: trust. Trust is on the rise. This is the Ipsos Global Trustworthiness Index that they put out every year. Now, I find it interesting. I don't know how they do these surveys, but they're interesting to have a look at. Trust is on the rise for many professions. Influencers and politicians are seen as the least trustworthy. I mean, why would you trust somebody who is there trying to influence you? You know, wouldn't it cross your mind that this guy was, or this woman was not exactly sincere about this makeup or this trend or whatever it was? We are not easily led. We are not. I don't believe we're easily led anyway. The 2024 edition of the Ipsos Global Trustworthiness Index. Key findings: doctors, scientists, teachers are the most trusted professions. Politicians are the least trusted profession.
What a surprise.
What a surprise. The ratings are apparently not quite as bad as they were back in 2018. I don't remember what the issues were back in 2018, but you know, they don't seem to be doing much more than trotting around the bottom of the cocky cage. Trust is rising for many professions, including lawyers, bankers, and journalists. Golly, okay. A new profession added to this year's survey: social media influencers, not seen as trustworthy. But waiters are. You go into a restaurant, you can trust your waiter. I like that. Well, why would he lie to you? He's looking for a tip at the end of the night or the end of the day, isn't he? Which professions are most trusted? Okay, let me read into this a little bit. Doctors are the most trusted profession. I would have thought nurses were the most. Anyway, doctors are the most trusted profession. Over half say doctors are trustworthy, 58% on average, across 32 countries. Scientists, 56%. Teachers, 54%. Generally, frontline public service workers, including members of the armed forces and the police, tend to be more trusted than not. 43% say they trust members of the armed forces, with New Zealand, France and countries most likely to see the military as trustworthy, 59% and 57% respectively. There were some doubtful questions about the armed forces thrown up in places like Thailand and South America, which I think we can probably understand. Newly added to this year's survey, 44% say they find serving staff at a restaurant trustworthy. The fourth most trusted profession, in fact. In no other country are people more likely to find waiters and waitresses untrustworthy than trusted. The same cannot be said for taxi drivers. Does that go for Uber drivers too? Probably. Another new addition to this year's survey. People are split over whether taxi drivers should be trusted. Once again in the index, politicians rank bottom, 15%, with only 15% across 32 countries trusting politicians. Generally, on a global level, trust in government is low. Ministers are also at the bottom 5 least trusted. Only 28% of people trust civil servants. In this year's survey, politicians have a rival for the least trustworthy. Only 15% say they trust social media influencers. the same proportion who trust politicians. And be careful if you're a... Hang on. Be careful if you're a Gen Z or a Gen X. Baby boomers are the most likely to be suspicious and skeptical. And there ain't nothing wrong with suspicion and skepticism, I can tell you. I think that's a good thing to do. How they do it, I don't know, and how reliable it is, God knows. I thought over many years that a pharmacist, a chemist, was possibly the most trusted person in the community. You remember they actually had a long-running advertising campaign that said, ask your family chemist, he knows. And he was seen as being somebody who really in the community was a very, very trustworthy person, not mentioned in that. Anyway, we'll get to the dates later. Don't forget our wonderful sponsors of this show called The Court of Public Opinion from the Garage, Elder Fine Art. If you're looking to, well, what can I say? I was going to say capitalise, but that sounds a bit bad, a bit opportunistic. If you've got a painting, Australian painting, perhaps a painting even of international repute, and you want to know what it's worth, which might tempt you to put it in the next Elder Fine Art auction, which will be coming up, I think, before Christmas. He's got one more before Christmas. Have a talk to the people at Elders. You can go to their website, which is info@elderfineart, one word, .com.au, or you can ring Jim Elder on 8267-2869. And our other sponsor, which of course is the Rising Sun Inn on Bridge Road, I'm informed it's not street, Bridge Road at Kensington. Beautiful old pub, built in what was it, Pete? 45?
18, yeah. I thought it was 1850.
No, 1845, I reckon.
Yeah, okay.
Beautiful handmade bricks, lots of atmosphere, open fires.
Place, yeah.
It is, lovely atmosphere, lovely people, fantastic wine cellar, great menu.
I just need a folk singer, Jeremy.
Well, that's right. They do on a Sunday, the last Sunday of each month, they have a live performance. I'll take you down, I'll introduce you to Greg, and I'm sure you do an audition for him. Do one of those Tom Paxton songs.
Okay.
It was his birthday the other day, you know.
Tom Paxton?
Tom Paxton.
Yeah, he'd be in his 90s, I think.
He'd have to be in his 90s. Are you going away with no word of farewell? What's the rest of it? You're going away with no word of farewell?
If I sing it, I could probably do it. But
yeah. And he did another one called Bottle of Wine, Fruit of the Vine.
yes, you sing that often.
Oh, God, he had some wonderful songs. Yep. Anyway, God bless you, Tom Paxton. You gave the world some wonderful music. I haven't seen Prue McSween for a long time. In fact, not since the night that my son was born. There was a little promotional thing. I'm not sure where I was. I would have been at 5AA, wouldn't I? It was a promotional thing down at Penfolds Winery, and it was for Beauty and the Beast. And Prue McSween was one of the beauties on Beauty and the Beast. And she was there. Caroline was there, very pregnant. And this is the night that Christopher decided to come. And I haven't seen Prue since. But I tell you what, I saw on Twitter the other day, or X, whatever they call it, she was making some very, very good comments about the elites, in particular the scientific community. Their ideological support. No. It's more than support, it's a fixation, an obsession with this government and renewables. And of course climate change, you know. Without question, without reservation. Now these people would claim, I'm sure, to be environmentalists. They can't see what this government's policies are doing to the environment. Huge swathes of prime agricultural land destroyed, laid waste to, because of wind turbines and high-tension cables and those shocking towers. Is there anything more ugly? And you've got to ask the question, why? Renewables are not reliable or cheap and are a travesty. So-called smart, intelligent people, well in a position to influence us mere mortals, fall into line without question. Prue, in her tweet, asked the question, why? Now, if I can find her, and I'm trying, I'll invite her on the Friday show, jeremycordeaux.com, 9 till 12 live streaming. Some other stuff, little bits and pieces. Cliff Richard's coming back to Adelaide next year, and we are again trying to set up an interview with him. I've spoken to him, I don't know how many times. I think I've spoken to him, it'd have to be 20 times over the years. He's a wonderful guy, fantastic talent. Pete, you'd like him.
Oh yes, very much, yeah.
And he's 90-something?
Yes, I guess he would be.
He would have to be in his 90s. He's still performing. And I remember he told me that every year around Christmas time he puts out a new record. And because he's old, or because the people who run the radio stations are too young, they won't play him. But it doesn't matter, because every year he ends up with that song that he releases around Christmas time, #1 in the charts, without any airplay. That's something, ladies and gentlemen. That really is something. Now, Pauline Hanson, let me talk to you about this. This is important. Pauline Hanson has been found guilty of what? I'm not quite sure. Racism? Racial vilification? Racial discrimination? She was responding on social media to a tweet from Greens Senator Marine Faruqi. The senator said, and look, forgive me, let me paraphrase this. It was something like, it was upon the death of Her Majesty the Queen. She said, the senator, she would not mourn the Queen's death because she headed a racist empire built on stolen land. Well, Pauline's response was to point out that Senator Faruqi had taken ample advantage of the many benefits and opportunities offered by this great country. I guess the senator was saying that she thought Faruqi was a hypocrite, and went on to suggest that if she didn't like it here, she could pack her bags and piss off back to Pakistan. Now, I don't know what you think of that.
Wouldn't Faruqi's comments be racist?
I think the whole thing is ridiculous. But it went to the Federal Court of Australia. I do not think what Pauline Hanson said was racist. It was a direct remark. It was a comment. A piece of unsolicited travel advice. Maybe. Some might say a bit rude. But I reckon quite reasonable. You can tell me on Friday what you think, if you like. 0491 65 68 60. And I'll see if I can get Pauline Hanson on the show as well. I'd love her to come on the program. We've talked many times. You know, I don't know if she plans to appeal the federal court decision. No fines imposed, but hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some people say up to $900,000 in legal fees. Ruinous. This anti-racism legislation, Section 18C, the infamous Section 18C. This is the one that got Andrew Bolt into similar trouble. Look, this is madness. Why are we allowing our treasured, precious freedoms to be stolen like this? And it's not the courts. It's not the federal court. It's not the high court. It's not the courts. It's the left-wing legislators. The human rights and equal opportunity legislation that was the doing of the Hawke Labor government in 1986. I think it was 86. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was 86. It's too late to do anything about that now, but it is not too late to stop the misinformation and disinformation legislation, which in fact is worse. It's a tightening of the noose, a tightening of the gag. You see, back in 86, Labor had the numbers. It could pretty much do what it liked. They had 75, I think. They had 75 seats to the Liberals' 33, something like that. Now, not so today. So we can stop it. Or the free-thinking people of our federal parliament can stop it, and if they don't, we should not have a bar of them. By the way, when Senator Faruqi was a guest on The Insiders, David Spears asked her if she would condemn Hamas, and she refused. Does that mean that we are paying for a senator who supports terrorism? Might like to talk to me about that. We're out of time, pretty much. Yeah. One quick one. Coca-Cola, which surprised me, Coca-Cola sells over 200,000 single-use plastic bottles every minute. Do you believe that? That's amazing. 200,000 single-use plastic bottles every minute. But the major problem people think we have is cattle burping and farting and other greenhouse gases. Are we crazy? Are we crazy? Anyway, as I say, we can't do much here about the American election and the results, but we'll have plenty to talk about on Friday morning. Recording today's show on Monday, so it's all going to be fairly, happening now, depending on what time on this Wednesday, beautiful day in Australia, you're viewing our court of public opinion. But happy birthday, happy wedding anniversary, November 6th. Oh yes, 1999 was the year And this was the day that Australians voted to keep the British monarch as the head of state in Australia. This was the Republican referendum. This was the day. Russian President Boris Yeltsin outlaws the Communist Party on this day in 1991. How well did that work out? I don't care what you call communism. It is what it is. Anyway, God. 2005, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, the fourth film based on the books by J.K. Rowling, premieres in London, goes on to become the most successful film of the year, grossing $900 million. 2005 was the year, and this was the day. The first test flight of the Hawker Hurricane, the fighter aircraft, big deal in the World War, Second World War. That was in 1935 on this day. 1945, the first landing of a jet on a carrier takes place on the USS Wake Island when an FR-1 Fireball touches down on this very day, 1945. Jean Turney, American actress, Leave Her to Heaven, Razor's Edge, 1991. She dies on this day of emphysema. She was only 70. Glenn Frey, American Academy Award-winning guitarist, songwriter, The Eagles. Take it easy. Do you like the Eagles stuff, Pete?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Heartache Tonight, Tequila Sunrise, Smuggler's Blues, The Heat Is On, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. Died in 2016, born this day in 1948. A lawsuit between Johann Gutenberg and Johann Fust concerning the printing press is decided in favour of Fust, with Gutenberg's printing press turned over to him. But to this very day, it is known as Gutenberg's printing press. This day, 1455. Where would we be without the printing press? Catherine the Great, the German-born Empress of Russia, who expanded the Russian Empire, dies of a stroke at 67 on this day in 1796. Nigel Havers, English actor, Chariots of Fire, Empire of the Sun, A Passage to India, born in England on this day in 1949. James Bond film Man with the Golden Arm, starring Roger Moore, begins filming in 1973 on this day. Sally Field, American actress, Forrest Gump, Gidget, Flying Nun, born Pasadena, California on this day in 1946. Emma Stone, American actress, Amazing Spider-Man, 1988. Anything else? Oh, let me just give you one more. 1860 was the year. American Republican Abraham Lincoln of Illinois elected the 16th President of the United States of America. 84, the incumbent Republican President Ronald Reagan is re-elected President of the United States in a landslide, wins 49 states, and defeats Democrat Walter Mondale. 2012, Barack Obama is re-elected as the president, defeating Republican candidate Mitt Romney. And here we sit, having pre-recorded today's show, not knowing. You want to take a bet, Pete, and see?
God, I don't know. I'm tipping Trump.
No one knows. I think the trouble with tipping winners of a presidential election, you tend to tip the person you want to win.
No, well, I don't like Trump, but I still think he'll.
Okay, well, that's an interesting point. I don't like Harris. When I say I don't like her, I say I've got nothing against her, but I just don't like her politics.
Well, I like Trump's policies,
Yes, okay, well,
but
okay.
I don't like Trump.
Well, let's leave the show today by saying I hope that Trump's policies and politics wins.
Yeah.
and where
That's okay, I'll go on with
where that leads us, I don't know. We'll talk Friday. Thank you so much for being with us here in the garage in the Court of Public Opinion. Believe in yourself. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Peter Clayton and I will be back next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, with more stuff. Bye for now.